Hey guys! So today what we're going to do is the answers to the questions you guys had given me throughout the week. And to start it off, the first one that I got was, what inspires you to do what you do? So the one thing that inspires me the most is that transformation that people have between their old life, whether it be what their size was, what their eating was, what their habits were, transitioning to what they've learned through lifting and everything it translates to in life. And so they either get stronger, they lose weight, their mentality changes, the way they see themselves and the way they see the relationships around them changes. And for me to be able to see that growth and to be able to guide people in that direction is something so amazing. And not only have I had a great support with it through James and his family, but through the people that I've met through training as well. And they honestly keep me going even on days where I'm really tired or exhausted. And I just remember that my purpose and what I really want to do is to help you guys understand that training and your diet is not something that you should be told that you're too big so you need to lose weight. You're too weak so you need to lose weight. Because of this, you have to be better. It's not necessarily something, yes, there are people who out there that their health is getting to the point where they have to do something about it, but people are forced so often into it that they don't understand or care to realize the amazing benefits that come out of it. For me personally, I've met some amazing people. I met James way back when I started at the HFT program at school, and I've met a lot of my closest friends and family through the gym, and I've learned to grow stronger physically and mentally myself, and learned an amazing amount of things when it comes to either training itself, what I eat, or how I handle things in real life compared to what I've learned through the gym. So that's something that I want to be able to show you guys and inspire you guys to do every single day. And I know it's so freaking hard because I started there too. I was running all the time. I didn't care what I ate. I got to the point where I was eating barely nothing. And it was easier just to do something quick and simple. But I've noticed that the harder you work, and the harder that I've been working into being who I am and trying to be better for everybody else, the more that I realize that taking the time to learn things and to actually take care of yourself is so much more important than just making it a check off on a short list. So the next question I have is, do you and your boyfriend work out together? And does working out with your boyfriend keep your relationship healthy? So when I first started college at the Falls, I actually met James through the HFT program. They had a club that they would do, and that's where I first met him. I had done lifting before that, and I kind of was on my own for a little bit, and I would do just basically what I saw other people do or whatever I saw on Google. So I had kind of a base. But when I first met James, he'd already been in powerlifting for a while, and I wanted to get back into lifting because I tried it in high school. And so I started lifting with him and another friend, Alex. And for about a year, we were really consistent about training together. And for me, it helped me create the strongest base that I've had, whether it come to training or my life, actually. So when I first started training, I'm a very big overthinker. I would overanalyze things. I would stress about things before I even did my lifting. And I had like a checklist I'd run through. Is my form going to be good enough? Make sure you go through these cues. This weight is pretty heavy. It should be a 5 rep max, and I can maybe only do it for 2. And just all these little critiques and nags and bits that I would always be so down about before I even lifted or even after a lift. And James noticed this and got to the point to be like, what are you doing? Like, you haven't even lifted yet, or you just started lifting. Not every day is going to be perfect. And in my mind, I was trying so hard to be perfect because that's what we're told, or that's what we see. And for a while, it really hankered down on my training. And James, being both a Marine and wanting this girl that he really appreciates to be better, I learned to really trust myself, both physically and mentally, and to ignore whatever voices or sayings or judgments were going on in my head and just do what I had to do, because I wanted to be better, to be stronger, to know more, to lift more, to do all these things that I didn't think I was capable of. And so I think that also helps our relationship because that's where we learned a lot more about each other. And one thing I love about the gym is everything is so raw. You see people sweating, you see people throw up sometimes if something doesn't settle right, and you get to see their mentality and what it really means when they lift and how that affects them. And so to me in the gym, you can't fake things. And so for him and me to be able to start there was really huge. And lately, the last year or so, our lifting schedules haven't been consistent with each other because of work and everything. But I do love it on days when we actually do get the chance to be training again, because it just reminds me of those moments when we first started, and there's a lot of support that we have for one another. Whether we fail or we don't, we know that we're always there, and there's still always room to grow. But he has taught me also a lot to be a lot stronger by myself when I train, because I do work out in the mornings alone. And so it's made me feel a lot more confident and to push myself, even if I feel any doubt that I can't do it, that I gotta freaking do it anyway. So it's helped a lot. And lately we brought our Chihuahua Beagle and our Shepherd mix into the gym. When we first got started, our space was too small and they were not really used to being around people. But since we have moved into bigger space, we've been able to actually bring Hulk, our little guy, every day. And having him around for me is, I treat them like family and I love them so much. And so I love being able to have him here and run around and play and just meet our family here. But for me, I also have to remember that even though I love having him here and playing catch and stuff, to remain focused on training. That way I don't get too sidetracked or distracted from what my actual goal is. So, but it's pretty cool having them both here. And the next question, what is your favorite non-basic cardio, get the heart pumping thing to do and why? So for me, when it comes to doing cardio-based things, I like to use equipment you don't see in normal gyms. So I'll either use our tank, prowler, I'll use a lot of strongman implements like sandbags or yoke. And I like doing those because you can still incorporate the strength aspect while improving your endurance, both for your muscles and for your heart as well. And for me, they're fun. Like, who goes outside and runs for their cardio? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who do, but specifically for me, especially since I used to do that all the time, my body hates it and mentally I hate it, and it's just not anything I really enjoy, and it doesn't motivate me to do more, and it doesn't translate very well, in my opinion, to the sports that I'm interested in. And so I like to use those implements, and I'll usually do it for time or for sets. And that way I can really push myself depending on how I'm feeling, and I can go based on my heart rate and rhythm. And sandbag over bar and yoke carry coupled with farmer carries would have to be my favorite. They're very common in every strongman event too. So those are my faves. Next question. What have you found to be the most challenging thing to overcome in your training, and how did you overcome it? So for me, when I started, like I stated earlier, it was all about mentality. I had no confidence in myself. I didn't trust my body. I wasn't very body aware either. And so trying to overcome the barrier of I can't do this to hell yeah, we're gonna do it was one of the biggest and hardest things I ever had to go through. My first, probably about 6 months of training, I really had to push myself to not think about the weight and just do what I can and fix form later or whatever else we need to do, and to push myself past any discomfort, because I wasn't used to a lot of that. I was used to playing it safe. But doing that first 6 months where I really learned myself and through James and other people in the lifting community to just really push past whatever I may be anxious or worried about, really helped me to be strong by myself now. That way, if I ever am in here by myself, I know how to push it, and I know how to be very aware if something doesn't feel right, or if, maybe I should call it before the last rep. So that for me was the hugest thing, and it's still something I deal with every day, whether it's hitting PRs or changing up my conditioning or incorporating different movements or training tools. But when they say that your mentality is your biggest barrier, it's 100% true. If you don't think you can do it, I can guarantee you it's either one, going to feel a lot heavier or harder than it should, and two, you may not complete what you want. So you just have to have a lot of confidence and a lot of faith that even if you don't get it, then you'll try it again and do it again. So you gotta be able to not let things get to you either. And that was something that I struggled with. If nothing was perfect, I would be really down on myself. But I've learned to just take what I have done, be proud of it, make adjustments to it, and try again. The next question is, when it comes to the health and fitness environment, what personally has been the biggest one you once believed that, but learned through personal experience to not be true? So when I first started getting into health and fitness, the biggest thing I was told was if you eat less, you'll lose weight. And it kind of incorporates with all the running as well. People, in my opinion, kind of took a very basic approach to calorie needs. You either eat less and you don't have to burn as many calories, or you exercise a lot more and don't change your eating and then you'll burn more calories. And to me, that's a very basic and cheater way of explaining your diet. And what I've learned a lot is when it comes to your eating, micros and macros are the most important things when it comes to powerlifting, cross-country running, Olympic lifting, whatever sport it is you do, or any kind of fitness level that you have. Is so important what your nutrition is. How much protein you get to rebuild your muscles, how much carbohydrates you eat before and after to give you the energy that you need. Do you do better with more fat or with more carb? Like and you don't have to eat less to lose weight. When I first started lifting to now, I probably consume anywhere from 500 to 600 more calories, and at one point like 1,200 calories more than I ever did, and I was able to maintain or lose weight or even see definition of muscle come in, and I never ever thought that was the case. I always thought you had to eat a crap ton and do something super special in order to be lean, or you just had to have really good genetics, and it's just something that you have to learn. You have to force yourself to not only discover it yourself by experience and doing it, and also doing the research, because just because Susan eats 2,000 calories doesn't mean it's going to work for me. And that's another thing. It's not just a cookie cutter thing. You have to figure out what you like and what your body can do best with. And then it looks like my last question is, what is your food intake like? How many calories do you usually eat, and how do you stay on track? So my food intake kind of varies. In the morning, I'll do either a breakfast scramble or a shake, depending on what my workout's gonna be. And then I'll do some sort of carb, veggie, and protein. The protein and veggie are the most important part because I appreciate the fiber and the micros that come in a lot of the veggies. And protein is something that almost everybody is deficient on. And so my meals generally cater around those, and then I'll add like flavors or different types of carbs and just keep a lot of variety. And for me, variety is what I use to stay motivated and to stay excited about my meals. Because I love chicken and broccoli and rice, but when you eat only that for weeks and you don't have like a competition or a bodybuilding show in mind, it's really, really hard to be like, all right, well, I'm just gonna skip the shake and go for a breakfast donut or something like that, you know? And so you have to keep it varied and you have to try things. And it took me about 1.5 years to discover what kind of vegan proteins I like. It took me 1.5 years to discover that gluten and dairy don't sit very well with me. And so it takes a lot of practice and experience, like I said before, and willing to put yourself in a position that you're vulnerable and you have to learn about what you like and what you need. My calorie intake varies between 1,800 to 2,200 depending on what my goals are. Based on my age, weight, and height, my BMR is probably about 1,500, and then I adjust my calorie intake based on that. But lately I haven't really been counting calories. Usually if I track, it's through macros that are fit to my style, my fitness level, my age, etc. But lately I've just been doing my best to keep my variety different and go for the healthiest alternatives. I don't have any big goals in mind. I'm doing nationals in October, but I'm not strong enough or high enough in the rankings to win or place very high. So for me, I'm just super, super excited to be competing at nationals in my first 2 years of lifting. And I want to do my best and be able to keep going and do better every year. So I just want to kind of recomp at the body weight that I'm at. So I'm just going to fill into my size essentially. And that's really all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. If you have more things you want to know or tips, anything regarding training or nutrition, you know how to reach me through Instagram and Facebook. And have a great weekend. Thanks.